Howdy folks, this is Travis of Elston Equine Solutions here at the Clopton Cattle Company here down the lower part of the ranch. And I had a very interesting question from a gentleman from Texas, and I'm going to read it to you. And this is from Cody down in Texas. He said, I often carry both, which means his rope and his whip, on my saddle down here in Texas, but always run into the issue of my whip being in the way when downling. Any tips to solve this? I've tried coiling the whip around me like a bandolier, but have lost it while I've been loping off across the prairie. All right, so what we're going to do today is talk about first how to carry a whip in preparation if you're not using a rope. And the second thing is we're going to talk about how to put a whip on your saddle if you're preparing a dallion. All right, and I'm not going to insult anybody's intelligence. Basically, that's just taking the rope and going around the horn right here when you're tied off to a critter. Okay, that's what Cody's referring to. So this is a client horse, Dixie here. I'm just going to use it for demonstration. And with no further ado, we're going to go to it. All right, so if I have my catch rope on one side, obviously the other side probably going to have my whip. All right. Now down in Florida, a lot of the cracker cowboys down there, and the reason they call them cracker cowboys or cow hunters because the crack of the whip when it pops makes that sound, so they're nicknamed cracker cowboys. Most of their style of riding is they're tied off hard and fast, so they could do this method, which means they're anchored onto the saddle and anchored down on the critter, so they're not worried about dallying. So this is the way a lot of times they'll carry their cow whip. And I've done a video on this before. All it is a bungee cord. The video I posted shows you how to make this, but all I do is coil my whip, and I just place it in between the horn and my strap, and I bring my strap out and over top of my horn. Now the reason I like this a lot is because it keeps it very, very secured. All right. And I also like the handle forward. Some guys like it, or the gals like it back, but I've noticed when I lope, this thing will come back and hit me in the leg if I got the handle facing to the rear. So I always have my handle facing forward like, okay. So this is one way to doing it. The second way that you can have your cow whip on the saddle is by using your saddle strings. And I use this method a lot. So I just coil my cow whip up. Some of you guys use a bull whip, but this one I use a lot. Okay, so simply what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my saddle strings, I'm going to spread them. And I'm going to take the bottom strand, I'm going to wrap around once, wrap around twice, or 1.5, and then I'm just going to make a bite. Everybody see that bite there? And you'll probably seen this video on my other thing showing the Macates and Macartes, however you want to call them, of tying this knot. And then what I do is just make a half hitch behind the bite. Like so. I'll place it up. And then what I'm going to do with the piece I made the half hitch on, I'm just going to create another bite, go inside the first bite, and pull it. And I make my loop very nice and small, so that way nothing gets caught in it. So I like this a lot. So if I'm dallying up here, okay, I can use this knot a lot. And it's really quick. All I have to do is pull one, pull two, and I'm rock and rolling with my whip. And I can do the same thing up in the saddle. And I'll show you that to you here real quick. All right, so I'm up in the saddle right now, and obviously I don't have my bridle on. I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes for Cody. I got my rope here on one side. Most of the time with a rig like this, I know when I'm going to rope something, so I'm unbuckling, I got my rope ready. I like to have my cow whip down here. It's handy because I'm either doing one or the other, but never both. So I really like this because it's real simple. I just undo it real quick. I got my cow whip, and now I'm ready to work. All right, so once I get my whip off, and I don't have time to go ahead and fasten it, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just coil it up. And I'll do no different than I would a catch rope. And do the same thing, come up on top and secure it, all right, just like I showed you in the video earlier. So once I'm done, and now it's time to secure it, and I got time, because you always got a little bit of slow time after the fast time, what I'll do is go ahead and do the same thing. Make sure my my whip's all coiled up. I'm going to split my saddle strings. And all I'm going to do is take the bottom string, go over top of everything, draw it down tight so I got one full wrap. And then remember, I got a half wrap there because I'm going to create a bite. Once I'm done with the bite, I'm just going to do a half hitch around the bite and draw it down nice and neat. Okay. Now, the piece I have just did a half hitch with, I'm going to create a bite on it, bring it through my first loop so that the loop I'm developing is facing towards me, and then I just draw down on the original loop. Nice and easy pleasy. And then I'm back in business. I really like it this way. I've never lost a whip doing it this method. Once again, if I'm riding, the handle, if it's flopping around, it doesn't hit me in the leg. And I don't feel that piece of wood hitting me, okay? It's real easy pleasy. I like it, and there's nothing wrong with it. All right, now what we're going to do is I'm going to show you two other saddles, two different methods of how to carry the cow whip, and we're going to cover that next. All right, Cody, I got my other saddle out here, so I want to show you this. This is the toggle method I was typed to you online. Basically all it is I got a piece of bone, some type 3 nylon, that's basically your parachute cord. I really like this because this parachute cord has a tensile strength 550 pounds, so if something gets caught, it'll just break. So this is a deer antler right here, and this is some sinew that's wrapped around the bottom to make sure it stand up. This is just a piece of bone on the back. And you can see how I got it behind the blood knot there. And I really like this method with the wooden bead because I draw the wooden bead up, take my piece of antler, create open space there. I can put my cow whip right inside, and you'll know how many wraps or wraps not to have if you do this enough times to be able to make this fit. So the first thing I like to do is I like to take the pointy end of the bone, and what I like to do is just take the rope or the parachute cord, go through the pointy part of the antler, bend it vertical, and then lay it back down. And then what I do is I take my bead and I push the bead straight down on top of the piece of bone. So I don't know if you can see that. And that locks everything into place. Now it's kind of real country, kind of western. You could probably use a piece of leather like that, but that's just another way I get the job done. I was playing around with that a long time ago. I kind of like the toggle switch work. I could take it on, take it off really quick. Point the antler up, rotate around the back of it, and boom, I got my cow whip off. And I'll show you that while I'm mounted. Okay, I'm going to go ahead, point my deer antler up, take my piece of type 3 nylon, go behind, and then just draw the bead down. And that's another way of carrying it, by using a toggle method. And I'll show you me being horseback using this technique. And it's just a way. You don't have to get bent out of shape. If you don't like it, it's just a way of getting the job done. Okay, now I'm not trotting, I'm not loping. You just have to trust me that it works. But it's real easy. Basically, I'm up in the saddle, I'm ready. All I gotta do is rotate my bead up, rotate my pointer of the antler, and voila, I got my cow whip. Once I got my cow whip ready and I'm working cattle, doing whatever I need to do, okay. This is a client's horse, so I didn't know how that was actually gonna be. I think I hit her on the butt. She's not really used to it. Okay, I'm gonna coil up the whip. Remember, always put the handle forward. You gotta make sure you know, because every whip is different lengths. Make sure that you know what the correct length of yours is. Once again, I'm gonna point the horn pointy part up. I'm gonna rotate it to the blunt side and then just rotate it. Now what really locks it in place is this bead, okay? And that keeps it from doing anything. Now every once in a while, just like anything, you got to make sure that you look down and your whip isn't unfolding itself. And that's one problem I have found with this system, but it still works pretty good. And if I have to, what I can do is use my regular saddle strings. If I know that's rotating a lot and I'm going through a thick brush, all I have to do is tie my rope into place with my saddle strings. No biggie. I'm just throwing a booger knot in here so you can take a look. And I can do the same knot if I want, or the one I already showed you. So I'm just going to throw my half hitch there and tighten down on it, just like a packer knot, okay? And then it's not going to move, it's not going to do as much. So that's another way to get after it that I found very useful. Okay, and I'm going to do my half hitch. Now, one key ingredient I want to show you on this real quick before we move on to the other saddle is look at the spacing between the antler horn, because all I did was drill 2 holes, feed it through. And I'm going to take the whip off so you can see. On this toggle style setup is once again the sinew. You got to wrap sinew around it to be able to make it stand up and create a spacer. You can see I got about 1/4 inch space right there. All I did was punch some holes through the back of this Latigo carrier, and all I did is square knot with half hitches on each side. Punched a hole through the back. And I just put a pretty little piece of leather right there. I forget what these things are called. Concho, leather concho here. And then that's all there is to it. And then so I don't get stuff locked up when I'm not using the whip. Once again, I just push it through, create my locking, and I'm good to go. And once again, you probably don't need to put an antler bone up here. I just did it to make it look cool. You could tie a knot right up behind the blood knot here of your saddle strings to do the same thing, okay? So that's another way to get after it. And now we're going to show you the quickest way to get after it with a different type of saddle, more of a cowpuncher saddle, all right, for you boys and girls that ride down to Texas and anywhere else that are doing the cowpuncher tradition. So we'll show you that way next. Okay, so I got my association saddle here, and the swell fork got away from the Wades, the A-fork saddles and stuff. So I'm going to show you kind of a different way putting the cow whip on. So I want to introduce you to the canopy ties. Yep, these are the ones that you just love to see to go around tents and so forth, especially for the roof to hold them down to the aluminum tubing. So go down to your local Walmart, your local Ace, your local whatever. Go back to where the bungee cords are and just go get yourself some hyper tough canopy ties. 10 canopy ties, which isn't bad, because if you pop one of these, you got a whole bunch of readily spares in a pinch. Voila. All right, so with this technique, what I like to do, same thing, is I just grab my canopy tie and I just push it, feed it right through my blood knot of the saddle ties, and this one's real easy. And then what I do is just create a knot on top. Okay, you can see I go from right to left, And then I create a knot, just an overhand knot on top so it doesn't come undone. And then I just grab my whip, go around once, go around twice, and same thing, you got to get to know what the feel of your whip is, of how many coils you have. And then all I do is take the ball, go around the top, and voila, it won't move, won't do nothing. It'll flop around just like it would if it was tied to the south string, the other method. It's real fast, it's real convenient. So that's another way I've seen it, the job getting done if you have a whip, all right? So I kind of wanted to share that with you, Cody, a few ways. Obviously, there's a whole different, lot of ways out there to skin the cat, per se. But hopefully this gives you some ideas of getting after that cat in Texas, all right? So I wish you the best of luck. If you got any further questions, please get a hold of me. If others of you have liked my channel, please hit that like button. Please hit subscribe. And until then, I hope you gained a little bit of knowledge. Take care now. Adios.